Hi everybody. The series of videos you're going to see are taken from my Facebook Live that I've been doing in the evenings of the build of this aircraft. Now, one reason I've done this is it's just so much easier to plug in my webcam to my computer, stream it onto my Facebook. People can ask me questions. So the videos you're going to see right now, you'll notice that sometimes I'm answering questions and it's not me hearing voices in my head. It's actually people on my computer asking me questions while I'm just building things. The reason I've done this is it just got too much work to try to record a video, edit that video. Sometimes I would have to edit sound into it because my camera's audio didn't work good with my external microphone audio, and it just became a pain in the butt. So what you're seeing right now is a series of videos of me building the airplane, but it's through my Facebook Live. Now, these first videos were really crappy quality and the audio was crappy, and as I kind of figured out what I was doing, it got much, much better. So understand the first series of videos you're seeing here are crap quality, but then they get much better toward the end. I have about 24 hours of videos I recorded over the last month and a half, and I'm going to try to get each one of them up as about 30-minute pieces or less here on YouTube. So thanks for watching, everybody. I love all my followers, I love all the emails, and I love all the support. Have a great day and rock on. So what I'm going to do here is switch between two cameras and cut out some parts. Now, if you watched my video earlier this morning, I laminated a whole bunch of styrofoam together using the West epoxy system. It's cured good enough to cut. I mean, it's still a little bit, I guess, rubbery, just a little bit, so it'll probably take 24 hours to really set up. Basement down here is about 72, 70 degrees. I like it to be about in the 78 to 80 range for epoxy really to cure quicker. And I could have put an extra pump of hardener into it to make the resin cure quicker, but I just didn't think about it. So what I'm going to try to do is switch a camera here now, and I'm going to try to cut the parts out, and hopefully this stays focused and you can kind of see what I'm doing here. One of the things that I have to do is make sure I cut where I remove the ink, but I don't remove anything inside the ink. So hopefully you can see this, but basically for these all to line up perfect, okay, for these to line up absolutely perfect, I need to cut literally perfectly on that line, or as at least humanly possible. So I'm going to start the saw up now. Hopefully it doesn't make a whole bunch of racket. Hopefully this clears my camera and everything. It looks pretty good. And we'll go from here. Hang on, I want to double check to make sure my frames aren't freezing up on me and everything. Nope, everything looks good. So that worked really, really good. Hopefully you can see that I removed the ink perfectly. And now I'm going to do this next line here, and hopefully I can make these exactly perfect. And yeah, it's coming out in the video okay. So. see, that came out virtually perfect. There's no ink left. I didn't chop in too short of the ink. I still have to round this leading edge here, which will be easy. I'll do that with a sanding block. But that's how you do it. You just take your time and go really, really slow, and it comes out really good. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I always joke that, you know, I don't have a steady hand, but this is the one I shoot with. No, I'm kidding. But if you remember Blazing Saddles, you'll appreciate that. Yeah, I just realized on this cut here, I'm going to run into the stand that I got my camera set up on, so I'm going to cut from the other end. I didn't think about that, but I can't swing my block around because the tripod that's holding my camera up would get in the way, so I'm going to cut this piece off like this first. Okay, now, hopefully my lady's exactly side by side. They line up. My table's not completely perfect here, but maybe you can see that. I don't know if you can see that on the table or if it's even focusing. But that's what it's supposed to do. Let me line these up. Man, that is absolutely sweet. That is perfect. Once I put that on my table and clamp it all down, I noticed I got a little bit of a gap back here. I wonder if my weight, when it compressed, it squeezed more epoxy out. It doesn't matter because this is all going to get glassed, but that is what I was hoping to get. Now, I'm not going to videotape cutting every one of these up because that would be a little bit boring, but this just gives you the idea that if you just take your time, and I've had a lot of people say, how can you cut such straight lines? And I think, you know, some of you will look at this and think that's nonsense. Other of you that haven't cut a lot on a bandsaw. But for me, it's, you know, have the blade really tight. Make sure you've got whatever you're cutting completely flat on the surface of the table. Also, make sure you put a real square. Don't use the dial indicators or the degree indicators that's on the table. Put a square against the blade and then put it against the table to make sure that it's absolutely square. And then you can cut out parts. So if you're just joining, what I'm attempting to do here, And I guess I need to back up a little bit and explain why I'm doing this. I hot wired a piece of foam out that was like this, and it was really flimsy, and it made me nervous. So I laminated a bunch of pieces, just like you do in plywood, and it become really super rigid strong. So I've got one of these that is made with Gorilla Glue, but this was 1 inch, and these were 5/16 pieces, so it's not a good test. But the ones I have of this that is the Gorilla Glue, I'm going to test and see which is stronger and which actually adheres better. Is it the West System epoxy or is it the Gorilla Glue? But I'm just super excited how well this is fitting, and both sides are just fitting. I don't know how well that's showing up in the camera right there, but those are just lining up absolutely perfect. If you notice, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I left, oh gosh, it's probably a 20th or a 10th of a millimeter black line right there. And when you line this up here, you can actually tell there's just a little bit, and I mean, it won't matter once I sand this and glass it, but just probably a 10th or a 20th of a millimeter makes a difference. Cool, I can't believe this many people showed up with an unannounced video. So I'm going to cut out one more piece. I'm not going to try to bore you all out of your mind. This is another piece, and as you can see, absolutely perfect. So I'm really excited that this is working out as good as it is. This is going to be one of the elevator, this is going to be the elevator of my flame. Now I haven't trimmed off some excess. That's one reason these links look like they're different. Now I do want to state the obvious. I ran my hand into, hang on, let me make sure the sound stops so you can hear me. I do want to state the obvious here. This blade can cut your fingers off, your hands off, your arms off. This blade is really dangerous. Anytime you're pushing into it, make sure that you really know where that blade is. I normally will use another piece of styrofoam at the very end to push it through, but since I'm making these such precise cuts, I'm doing it all with my hand. But for God's sakes, people, be really, really careful when you're using a bandsaw. But I hope this is showing up on the camera just how freaking awesome this is lining up here. And when you start to look at this, and keep in mind I'm not on a flat surface, I don't have it on a big flat surface, and the leading edges aren't all trimmed up yet. But this is just absolutely perfect. And so I just got a bunch more of these to cut out. Now, if you don't remember, and you didn't see this morning's video, hang on a minute, let me switch back to my other camera. There we go. If you don't remember this morning, I laminated And I know I got to get my microphone on a stand because every time I'm touching the table, you hear booming. When I listen to that, just so you know, I got my old audio mixer out and got out one of my old Sennheiser microphones so that I could actually make my sound better in here because it sounds such like crap. So what I did was this morning, I used the West System epoxy to laminate a bunch of styrofoam together, and I 3D printed the template. Because the other template I made out of foam, and depending on how hard I pushed on the foam with my marker, I was actually distorting the ribs I was cutting out. So they had to be perfect. So I 3D printed this. I basically take a permanent marker, mark it all out like this, because I already cut 3 of the 6 out of this. I then end up with these ribs, and somebody sent me a thing this morning, a private message, said, what does one of these weigh? And this weighs 0.9 ounces. That's pretty freaking cool. I thought it'd be heavier than that. So this is 0.9 ounces. And this is cool. I can't believe how many people showed up. See, I'm not doing these because I want them to be live. I'm doing these as kind of an easier way to do videos. So I've got a bunch more of these to cut out today. I'm going to try to get a piece of plexiglass I've got, wax it up really, really good so when I glue this together, it won't stick to the plexiglass, but I need a surface that's virtually perfectly level to glue all these sections together to make up my elevator. Then, and also in between some of these strategically, is a rib that has a control horn on it, and that will be the control horn that helps me control it with my servos. So that's pretty much it for now. I'm not going to sit here and cut these out for 2 hours and make you all watch me cutting out parts. Though some people have said they want to see me do that, and I'm sorry, people. That just plus it's really nerve-wracking. You know, I cut out 3 big kits in the last probably 12 years, all by hand, and people were emailing me saying, where did you get those laser cut? If you take your time and you know how to put the drawing on the wood, which I usually use, where's it at? You know, it's depressing. I always move everything around in here, and you guys build planes, you know what it's like. You lose your tools, but somewhere around here I've got that 3M, here it is. So that you know how I normally do this is I'll plot a part out with my plotter, my big printer. I then cut that part out, leaving about 1/8 of an inch perimeter around it. Then I take the 3M77, really lightly mist the piece of paper, stick the paper on the foam, the plywood, whatever I'm going to cut out, and then I cut out to that line. An FYI though, depending on your plotter, when you go to plot the ink, you can pick your line weight. And that line weight is how thick the line is. If you have a 1 millimeter line, you need to cut in the middle of that 1 millimeter. So try to make the line as small as possible, but you can still see it. See, a lot of my lines are like 0.20 or 20% of 1 millimeter. And the smaller the line, the more when you cut that line, which you want to be in the middle of the line, not on the inside, not on the outside, because your parts will fit tight. If you cut to the outside, they all fit tight. If you cut to the inside, they're loose. So there's a little bit of learning when you're hand cutting like this. Is a laser better? Hell yeah. But I can't fork out $3 grand right now for a decent laser cutter. So why not hot wire instead of bandsaw? Okay, I did hot wire. And when I hot wired out a section of this, it was really flimsy. It was really quite weak, and the back of it wanted to break really easy. So I had laminated stuff in the past and thought, you know, basically the glue that's in between each one of these becomes like a membrane for strength. So by putting these all together, I mean, it is really, and I mean, listen to it. I mean, hang on a minute. Let me get a regular piece of foam. When you get a regular piece of foam and you start cutting on it, and you then look at how rigid this is getting, and I wish I had a, I wish I didn't throw away my other pieces of foam, but the piece that I hot wired out was just so flimsy And I already threw away my other mock-up. So, but that's the reason I'm laminating these, and I'm cutting them by hand, is to get the strength of almost like a ply or multiple layers. And hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So that's pretty much it, everybody. I'm going to sit here the rest of the afternoon, cut out the rest of these. I may try to glue the whole thing, at least one of the elevators, together tonight. My whole goal this weekend is to get this horizontal stab basically glassed, maybe painted, primed. I want to get the elevator possibly done and glassed and primed. I would love to get a coat of paint on it, but this is taking a little bit longer, and I had some stuff to do for work this morning. I needed to get a specification out to a client. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching my videos. I hope you enjoy them. I may be back again this afternoon to glue all this together, and if not, I know I'm definitely going to do a video when I glass this, because I get everybody asking me to show how I glass things, and we'll go from there. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have an awesome day. Take it easy.